Welcome to my channel. My name is Stardust Child. You may also know me as Lisa. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about conventional farming, crops, and beef, and how it affects our health, how it affects our environment, and how you can be part of the change after you know all this information. So I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get right into it. I'm just gonna go on and tell you I'm gonna tell you crops, and then I'm gonna tell you beef, conventional farming. I'm not gonna include chicken or pig, just because the way that they conventionally farm beef is very similar to how they conventionally farm pork and chickens. So for crops, I just want to tell you guys, if it doesn't say organic, or it doesn't say, or it's not locally grown, if it doesn't say chemical free, you are consuming a fruit or a vegetable, or an item that has a fruit or a vegetable that is either made out of GMO, is using herbicide, pesticide, weedicide, or fungicide in the growing of the crops, as well as preservatives for the plant to remain, I would say, good looking in the whole transportation process all the way to your grocery stores. Well, farmers will go ahead and grab their seeds, and they'll put them in a bunch of pesticide and herbicides, soak them in it, that nice juicy little cancer juice, and after they put them in the cancer juice, they will plant them, and then the plants have this cancer juice on them now. And then as the plants grow, they fumigate the plants with herbicides, pesticides, which accumulate, by the way, in the soil. So if they've grown one field of corn in the year and there was a bunch of herbicide and pesticide on it, the soil still has that. And then when you plant your second round of corn, it's going to be even more toxic corn, because you're going to spray another layer and your soil already has that, and it's like you're just making this shit worse. Farmers who use herbicides and pesticides, look, there may be a lot of arguments in like the comments, or I doubt it, but there may be people telling me like, but it's good for when there's pests and this and that, and it's like, I understand, but at the same time, nature has its own way. Yeah, there is organic farming and also like sustainable farming. Pretty much what that means is they pretty much like simulate nature's natural self-healing, and almost like the soil takes care of itself if you don't fucking pour a shitload of chemicals on it. Fertilizers as well are very bad because they make the soil and the plant reliant on the fertilizer. So it creates dysbiosis in the natural system. So it gets rid of the natural system that nature creates. When you take care of the soil, you have healthy plants. Healthy plants equals to healthy humans. Now, if you're not eating healthy crops, if you're eating crops that eat, literally those crops are eating and absorbing chemicals that are cancer causing, inflammatory disease causing. Not only that, well, by inflammatory, I literally mean like it can go from diabetes to heart disease to liver issues, kidney, like it ranges, but as well as mental stuff, like even neurological, as well as nervous system. So everything between Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, etc., you name it. Depression because of your gut flora. We're connected everywhere. You are what you eat, and if your plant is eating a bunch of cancer shit and you eat that plant, you got a lot of cancer shit in you. That's fucked up. So why does it happen? It's because it's much faster, it's just fast, and it creates a bunch of yield. But all that crop that you're getting from it is like very bad for like the environment and for you. The only reason that human beings use fertilizers and herbicides and pesticides is because after look, we didn't use it all the fucking time, okay? We used it up until the 1900s, and I'll tell you specifically why. Because sorry, I just kicked the tripod. The situation is that pretty much after World War II, the governments that were involved in the war were like, yo, we spent a lot of money on these chemicals that were used in war. We can't let that go to waste. So what these people did is they diluted them and they made them into pesticides pretty much. So pesticides and herbicides, all it is diluted chemical warfare gases and substances. Agent Orange, you may know that guy. Yeah, that Agent Orange has turned into one of the most commonly used pesticides. It's not only in crops, it's also in like, you know, like bug spray and shit like that. You know, it kills bugs just by touching it. It kills humans in large consumptions. So why conventional farming? Money. War and money. Yeah. Sucks. For beef conventional farming, and I mean like also like poultry, like chicken and pork, they keep them in very crappy living conditions. They mostly live in like very confined living spaces where they're not even able to move most of the time. They're fed grain, which is not what their body needs in order to be nutritious meat, to make nutritious meat. They're given grain because it's cheaper to make and feed, because if you have free range grass-fed cows, that means you have to have more space for the cows. So do you understand how they just don't want to spend more money? Like they want to make easy money, easy beef meat like this, like chop chop, let's go. But that's not how nature works, and we're literally killing ourselves. It's a very slow process. It's not like you're shooting yourself and bam, it's done. No, you're doing this process in a lifespan, and then you get sick at a young age, or when you're not even supposed to be sick, and it's all because you've been eating all this processed food your whole life without taking a break from it. You know, like a lot of people live like that. Anyways, so conventional farming, yeah, they're fed grain, they have shitty living conditions, they're given a shit ton of antibiotics, which by the way relates to human health, because that creates resistance to antibiotics for humans. And not only that, but it creates all kinds of like allergies and just weirdness in humans. And yeah, these cows are extremely stressed. They are deprived of their natural behaviors and their natural food. Their stomach does not like grain, and therefore it creates meat that is high in cholesterol, extremely high in omega-6, which is bad because it's an inflammatory agent. As well as the food that they are given is usually conventional crops. So that means they are eating the chemicals that are carcinogenic that are in the plants that are processed. So imagine this. You are what you eat, right? Say you eat a chunk of meat from a conventionally grown cow. That cow has been living its whole life super stressed out and sad in like this like shitty living conditions. They're extremely exposed to illnesses because they're so close to each other. Some chickens are even on top of each other, so like the shit that comes down from one, like they're just it's awful. It's so sad. It's degrading. It's extremely, they're not humans, but they're fucking consciousness. Like, that nothing, like, no living thing deserves that. Anyways, so say you do eat a piece of this meat, you're absorbing all the shit that the cow went through, and not only the cow, but the plants that the cow ate. You're absorbing that too. And meat and crops that are grown conventionally are like not nutritious. Like, they're very, very low in nutrition. They're very high in fats. They're very high in sodium. And they're very high in chemicals such as dioxin, which is extremely toxic and extremely carcinogenic. And pretty much, yeah, there are no studies. There are like literally no studies on the long-term what happens if there's a long-term eating of this processed crops and meat. So I hope that after I've just told you guys all this information, you guys kind of understand why you shouldn't eat conventional crops or conventional beef. I understand that it is cheaper. However, it isn't, because, well, you're paying with your health. Yeah, it's cheap, but you're paying with your health. So it's cheap in terms of money, but you're paying with your health. Do you understand? You're depriving yourself of being healthy so that you can get cheaper meat or cheaper fucking bananas. You understand? Okay. Another thing I want to say that is extremely fucked up is that North America, although, well, they were using pesticides and herbicides a lot in the like 1990s, not even the 1990s, 1950s. And then they were banned here, but even though they're banned in Canada and in the United States, they aren't banned in every other country, and they produce, like North America produces pesticides, herbicides, all of these things so that they can be used outside of the countries. So they send them to other countries, and then they import all the food that they grow. So isn't it funny? Like, yeah, you banned it, but you import all your food, so like you technically didn't do shit. Wow, fucking crazy, right? I'm saying this in like a good mood because I want people to like not be sad about it, but at the same time it's like you have to become aware that like all the food that you're eating, or not all the food, but like most of the food that you're eating, if you don't know where it comes from, it's most likely like coming from a conventionally, like a very big mass corporation farming type shit, and you're literally consuming like a shit ton of things that are bad for you and like barely any nutritious like stuff. So that's fucked up. And then I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit on how specifically how does conventional crops and how does conventional meat affect the environment and our human health. So the environmental impact of industrially grown crops are eutrophication, which means when there's an excess of nutrients in the water, which turns the water toxic, which means it doesn't have that much oxygen. So water without oxygen, therefore no living things can live in it other than bacteria. So it pretty much makes water super acid and not a living source. Currently 30% of our oceans, of all of our water on the planet, has turned acidic, and we only have 70% of the rest of the water in the world. So we should do something about it, which is, anyways, as well as the creation of superbugs, more diseases such as, sorry, I have a slide over here that's gonna show me some shit. pretty much respiratory problems, memory loss, so developmental effects, increased risk of cancer, neurological impairment, so that means Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, endocrine disruption, so disruption in your hormones, as well as liver damage, depression of the immune system, which could lead to death. So yeah, those are like the effects of your health, as well and the environment. It pollutes the soil, it pollutes the water, it pollutes the air, and it pretty much just like messes literally everything. It creates superbugs, which are resistant to anything that could possibly kill them, as well as gene, I think it's called something about combining genes, like, you know how like there's GMO plants? So those GMO plants grab genes from another species and they transfer it to a plant. So there'd be a lot of like there could be mutations happening, or mostly just like a lot of rare genetic diseases could come from it, and we don't have anything that could help us if that happens. So yeah, and we really don't know, like, we're playing God, and we're literally going against the nature, which is like fucked up, because nature has given us everything. Now, the environmental and health impacts of conventional beef, meat, pork, chicken is so water pollution, air pollution, a lot of non-renewable energy is used in these farms, as well as soil erosion, deforestation, and just a lot of soil problems. 70% of the world's agricultural land is used for cattle. That's literally more than half of the land that we have for growing food is going for animals. So most of the farms that exist are just making food so that they can feed conventionally grown cattle, etc. Also deforestation. 70% of the Amazon's rainforest has been chopped down, burnt down, whatever you want to call it. It has been removed so that they can have more land for agricultural feed crops, which is pretty much, once again, like just crops that are gonna feed the animals. Soil impact, a lot of heavy pesticide use, a lot of heavy fertilizer usage, and heavy machinery is all damaging to the soil quality, which will make it, in time, it will make the soil pretty much very shitty, not nutritious, and it can eventually lead to famine, because maybe at some point in time, the soil will be so fucked up that we will not even be able to grow food. So yeah, water usage, like 20% of the water usage in the world is just for feeding animals, as well as irrigating the crops that feed them. So yeah, and grass isn't a hard thing to irrigate, rather than a plant, like grain. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of water pollution as well, runoff from the fertilizers and pesticides, as well as the poop, the fertilizer, and the pesticides all run off and they go into the water, as well as all the hormones that they're injected with and the antibiotics that they're injected with. So that's horrible. Eutrophication, I already talked about it, which is when pretty much the water becomes non-livable. It's caused a lot of fish to die and a lot of dead zones, and all of this can cause famine, because a lot of people 1 out of 7 people on Earth rely on fish to eat. So yeah, so maybe you're not so concerned about the meat and like maybe your health. Maybe you don't give a fuck if you get cancer or whatever. But maybe you should care about how many people will be affected by the pollution of water, pollution of air, and pollution of the land. You are one of those, and I believe that you have the power to make a difference. So I will be giving you guys some things that you can do so that you don't feel powerless and hopeless, because I felt like this when I had gone through all these information. I was like, holy shit, I don't know what to do. I probably should just die if I don't want to add to this. Now that is not realistic because I would like to live. So I just want like a lot of people to know that you're also exposed to dioxin pretty much everywhere. It's in like your pesticides, it's in your food, it's in your meat, it's in your cleaning wear, it's in your house, it's in the air. Dioxin is extremely bad. It's degenerative and it causes inflammatory diseases. It's extremely carcinogenic, and pretty much what I'm trying to tell you here is your food, if it doesn't say either organic or chemical free, you're eating poison, okay? And that's fucked up. So I understand a lot of people can't afford organic meat or organic crops for some reason, and I will tell you exactly why. It's because a lot of people don't buy it. And that's why if you buy it, you're helping the change be easier, because organic farming it uses natural methods. It uses no pesticides or hormones or fertilizers. It's healthier for humans and for the environment, but it costs more money because it involves more labor, as well as just overall it's better than conventionally grown things or conventionally farmed animals, because conventional farmers, although it costs less money, they are extremely dangerous to the environment and to the people, and they use chemicals and products that alter the naturally growing process. So yeah, and when you mess with the soil or the ocean or the forests, like, you're taking away our oxygen, and like we need that to live. Trust me, the planet will survive without us, but we cannot survive without it. So I beg everyone watching this, please make a difference. Please just listen to the things that I'm about to tell you, because we can all make a difference. You're not alone. We are in this all together. We caused it. Well, we didn't specifically cause it, but the human race caused it. The human race has to fucking fix it, okay? First thing that you can do in terms of being part of the solution, being part of the solution is familiarize yourself with marketing terminology. So grass-fed, pasture-fed, grain-fed, free-range, grass-finished, hormone-free, and natural. So I would recommend going for meat that is grass-fed, free-range, and hormone-free. If it says grass-finished, it means that they were mostly fed grain, and then at the end, almost before they were like killed, they were fed grass. Grain-fed is the ones that have like all the chemicals in it. Free-range is like healthier cows, happy cows. But yeah, also I'd say support local and sustainable farmers. So do your research in terms of you know, there's what's it called, the farmers market. The farmers market, find your meat there if you can. If you can't, please try to reduce your meat intake, at least, like, say you have at least 1 day a week or 2 days a week where you don't eat meat. That already adds a huge contribution to the situation. as well as going for more locally grown crops. Seriously, like, support your local market. You're aiding the economy. You're not paying for something that was imported into your country. You know, you're buying something from someone who grew it in your country, and you're supporting the economy. As well as you're supporting the fact that you're putting your money here, and the more people put their, like, you have to think, like, the government and farmers and all these people that, like, supply, they think in terms of money. They don't really care. Like, clearly they don't give a shit about our health or, like, anything. They speak terms of money. So if you put your money into, like, local farming and, like, organic food, if you can afford it, please go for organic meats. Not only that, but spread the word, stay informed, and please spread the word. Tell your family and friends, talk about it. Don't be afraid to get a little political, or a little, you know, like, taboo. Yeah. If you can, find out how your meat is raised. If you're getting it from somewhere, they know this information. If you go to, like, a butcher, they know this information. And if they tell you they don't, they're lying. But yeah, I'd say please do all these things. I'd say as well as just, like, if you can grow your own food in your backyard, that'd be amazing for you. It just to have, and not only that, like, to have the experience, but not only that, but, like, to get your own food from, like, you know where you got it, you grew it yourself, you're saving money, and it's fun. And another thing I'd say is you could also just change your diet. It's much harder to do that than to just do your research and buy from good sources. But I definitely say please be more aware of the fact that your money is like a vote, and you vote every single day, every single time you go to the grocery store, every single time you buy food or product, you're voting. And please stay aware that we don't have much time for you to putting your money into shit that keeps hurting our environment, okay? That's pretty much all I have to say for this video. So I hope you guys will continue to see this. I just wanted to touch a little bit on what I was learning at school, because I will be soon uploading a series on how to turn your house more eco-friendly and sustainable, and I'm going to be doing it from scratch. I don't buy the groceries in my household. My mom does, obviously. I'm literally 18, studying and not working, and I just want to tell you guys, like, if I can do it, anyone can. And I believe in every single person watching this. You have the potential. You can take your power back, and I highly recommend doing it, because once you have the freedom of knowing, like, I use my money in wise ways and not just because if it's cheap, blah blah blah. Like, no, it's cheap because you're paying with your health, okay? You're compensating. It's not cheap just because it's cheap, okay? That's not how it works, okay? There is a side effect to it. There is a bargain to buying cheap food. So there you go, there you have it. The more you put your money into it, the more you spread the word about it, the more popular organic food gets, the more popular non-GMO food gets, the more popular sustainable farming and eco-friendly farming becomes, the cheaper that will become, okay? So if you stop putting your money into conventional shit and more into what we need, eventually it will turn cheaper, because this thing wouldn't be the, like, popular thing. It would be now organic and this and that, okay? So please tell your families, please tell your friends, please share this video, and I love every single person watching this. I hope I motivated you and I didn't make you feel like shit about either your food or your lifestyle. But if you do feel like shit, honey, let me tell you something. You have full control, and you can choose to make a difference. Is your will strong enough? Do you care about the planet that much? Do you love yourself that much to make the change? Please, if you don't, please begin to love yourself and work on that, okay? You can only clean from the inside out, and I love every single person watching this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.